There's many aspects to the Superman story and arc that I, as a fan, would want to see. And I'm a little annoyed that it's potentially just skipping over it. And look...
Are you upset that Lois Lane will figure out who Clark Kent is?
Did I say that, you friggin' disingenuous moron? Did I say that? Listen to what I said, right? And so he's just ignored completely what I said and just making a complete straw man trying to say something completely... Listen to again. Potentially just skipping over it. And so I'm sad that they're potentially going to skip over the part of the relationship where Lois doesn't know who Clark Kent is.
Are you upset that Lois Lane will figure out who Clark Kent is?
And then he's like, that means Shad clearly said he's going to be upset that Lois Lane figures it out. You friggin' idiot. Welcome back to The Watch, and a creator by the name of Anthony Gramuglia has made a video criticizing my commentary on the Superman trailer. And so I think this is an interesting opportunity to hear what those criticisms are, see if they're valid, and even perhaps defend myself, because I think the framing already from the title is actually quite dishonest. Now, I don't know much who Anthony is. The first time I ever heard of him was when Efap was reacting to one of his videos, which I'll leave the link in the description title below. And the only other piece of content I've come across from him is his video, Run My Half Will Make You Bi and Trans, which is a video that really confirms my own video where I was saying that there are certain political activists trying to hijack Run My Half and force a false interpretation on it, saying it's about trans representation or supports trans ideology, which if you actually watch Run My Half, it doesn't do that at all. It's quite the opposite. So you can check out my video where I talk about that. But from the outset, it does seem like Anthony and I have very different political and ideological opinions. I personally don't think those are reasons to not get along with anyone. And I've watched some of the beginning of his video where he's talking about my, Superman trailer, and a good chunk of what I've seen in the beginning, I don't know how it goes, further into it, is actually just kind of nerdy discussions from his own perspective, and that's fine. I really miss the times when geeky people could just talk about things and disagree, argue about it, and still get along. And that's one of the things I love about FNT, because I go in there and often we can argue a lot. And guess what? We argued a decent amount about this Superman trailer. I was not a fan. If you loved the Superman trailer, I think that's brilliant. All power to you. And as I said in my reaction, I want this new Superman film to be good. I want to be able to like it. The trailer did not hit the mark for me. Now, if you disagree with me, perfectly fine. And then if you want to discuss some of the points that I make in it, perfectly fine as well. What I hope people do is represent what I say accurately and respond truthfully to the things that I'm talking about. And there was one thing where, as I was watching through Anthony's video, I got to a point where he really does misunderstand what I'm saying and almost, shares an opinion which was the same opinion I was sharing. So we'll get into that specifically as we go through it. Now, I'm not going to be reacting to everything because a lot of the subjective kind of just nerdy type of discussions, that's completely valid and I don't have an issue with any of that. Now, going off the title of his video, he says, Shadiversity vs. James Gunn, Shad wants a Mary Sue. Now, a couple of interesting things from the get-go, because I know I don't want a Mary Sue, and I could already perceive why people might think or disingenuously twist what I was saying in my video to saying I want a Mary Sue, because I was talking about how I like Superman has this indomitable, almost unbeatable power level, and I think that's one of the enjoyable things about his character. It wasn't me saying that he can't be challenged or that I want a Mary Sue. To be able to twist it to say that I was wanting that would have to be a pretty disingenuous reframing and a completely different definition of what a Mary Sue is, and I don't see Superman, even with him being so overpowered and even if he's nigh invincible, as being a Mary Sue. I see him as an overpowered character, and sometimes overpowered characters can be really fun. Got one in my own novel, in fact. And I've defended overpowered characters in the past, just like Superman, just like Alita Battle Angel, who some people did start to try and criticize as being a Mary Sue. It's like, no, she actually has a decent amount of flaws. She gets defeated at one point in the show. She's very naive, and she's not right. And so, clearly there's those things as well. I also find it interesting that he's framed his video as Shadiversity versus James Gunn, because this isn't a Shadiversity video. He was pretty clear at the beginning. This is my, Night's Watch, as you are here. This is a Night's Watch video, and these views don't represent the Shadiversity channel, just because my views don't represent everything on the Shadiversity channel either, because I have other people on Shadiversity that disagree with me, and they share their views. Tyrant, and then I've had other co-hosts in the past as well, and I find it actually a little disingenuous from the outset that is trying to frame this as, it's Shadiversity. This is a Night's Watch video. This would be Night's Watch. I think this is, as I mentioned, disingenuous. And the reason why I think people do that is because Shadiversity is a much larger channel. People really like attacking me, and it's all about trying to get clicks and traction. But if he was wanting to be completely honest, no, this would be Night's Watch. Now, as to verse James Gunn specifically, I think James Gunn has done some good videos in the past. I don't like where he's going with the DC universe, and I do have some criticisms against James Gunn in my reaction, so I'm interested to see how Anthony is going to present in the video, if he does, framing it that this is specifically me versus James Gunn and I'm solely going after him. But maybe he doesn't. Maybe this was just a clickbait title that's dishonest and just trying to get people to come in and watch the video. And don't get me wrong, I'm perfectly fine with hyperbole and exaggeration in video titles. I think I did it in the very one that people are reacting to. I entitled my video, More Deconstruction is Trash. I hate the James Gunn Superman trailer, and it's my reaction to it. And yeah, I felt it was Deconstruction is trash, and it's me going ballistic. And that ballistic thing is obviously comedic hyperbole, okay? It's exaggeration. I don't think it's dishonest, though, because I do have a very negative opinion of the trailer. So yes, exaggeration and hyperbole, perfectly fine. I think that's fair game. But actual dishonesty, and I think some of his title, he does just go into dishonesty, is a bit of a red flag going in to begin with. So we're going to be reacting to his reaction to my reaction to the Superman trailer, but before we do, I want to let you know about the weekly live streams we have here on Night's Watch. If you guys aren't aware of it, we do a weekly live stream called The Culture Crusade, and I do it with Mike S. Miller, Literature Devil, Drink with Crazy when it's available, and various other guests. We had Yellow Flash on last week. It's a hell of a lot of fun. Sometimes we argue, we laugh a lot, we react, we talk about some of the more significant kind of pop culture / cultural things that have happened during the past week, and we do that every Monday night. If you're in the US, for me it is Tuesday mornings, and so the times vary depending on which part of the globe that you're from, but it would be a Monday evening live stream, and so go check it out. You can check out the live stream tab here on Night's Watch, watch some of the past live streams. Heck of a lot of fun. I hope to see you on the next ones and the regular ones, because we do it every week going forward.
Let's take a step back here for a second. First off, who is Shadiversity?
Okay, I'm interested to hear how he presents who I am to.
If you don't know who Shadiversity is, he got his credit as a medieval weapons YouTuber. He's most famous for, I first discovered him because he did a lot of interesting videos on swords that I think are pretty inaccurate in hindsight.
Examples? I mean, like, if he's going to say they are inaccurate, this is dig at my credibility, prove it. Okay, there's a lot of people that trying to do this, right? And they rarely ever give specific examples. And when they do, oftentimes it's just complete bullcrap and they're pulling, stuff out of their rear end. If I've said anything inaccurate about medieval weapons in history, please let me know, because I do not want to misinform people. And I've made corrections in the past. Give me specifics. Oftentimes it is really just vague nonsense. People that have a massive, issue with me because of politics, ideology and stuff like that. The fact that I am a very conservative Christian, outspokenly so. And so people are trying to say that I have no credibility. It's like, well, then prove it. My videos are very appreciated. They've been cited many times by historians. They've been shared in the university lectures, by the way. All right. They're just as credible as they were before. And genuinely, even my most recent video on Shadiversity is about the complexity of sword terminology and what is the more accurate kind of current day terms versus the historical things. Where is anything that I say in that video incredible, not credible, or inaccurate?
I've heard people that they're less accurate than I thought when I was younger.
So he's just heard people criticizing me without any specifics. Okay. Now, what I find it very interesting is that a lot of the criticism, where suddenly now I'm an inaccurate source, right, happened, a bit after I started Night's Watch, where, why would that correlate so directly? Because people then started to really attack me and hate me because I'm outspoken, conservative. And then suddenly everything that I do is of no worth and complete nonsense and not credible. So, interesting how those things coincide. And it very much seems like suddenly people just want to try and write me off for political, ideological reasons, even though the stuff I put out in Shadiversity is as credible as it's always been, very accurate, and if I've made anything wrong, please give me specifics.
When I first started writing fantasy, when I first started getting into writing, I really got into, hey, what kind of weapons were useful in certain stories? How would a soldier use a weapon in a medieval setting? And he seemed like a medievalist who knew what he was talking about.
Okay, so it looks like Anthony's actually a former fan?
To the uninformed.
Again, there's been people that have tried to challenge me, and I've been able to talk to them and call them out, okay, on many specific things. And I could give, if Vikings wore padded armor on or not. That's one that people usually try to say. Shad is nonsense because he says Vikings wore padded armor, when even more historians currently are starting to accept, yeah, it's very likely Vikings wore padded armor. I can give references on that. They try to take me because they try and say my brigandine is inaccurate, even though that's literally based off of a historical find. It's like the Chalkist, I forget the exact name, brigandine. And so it's really interesting that people are happy to take internet trash talk in comments with completely no verification, and they'll give a thing, oh, Shad said this about this, which is nonsense, without any evidence or credibility, and people are like, oh, well, Shad isn't worth relying, when like, you're going to rely on an internet trash talking person with no evidence to back them up versus the actual sources I have shared in multiple videos. But internet, commentators that want to just drag me are suddenly more credible. And it's interesting. One of the main reasons I think why people are more than willing to jump on to accept random commenters along the internet that want to try and attack me, right? But they even reference certain Reddit articles that I've directly debunked in times past, okay? But they want to cite, Reddit internet warriors as more credible because they're attacking me than the sources I have shared, even times when I completely contradicted them and proven them wrong.
The more he released, the more people kind of began to take him less and less seriously because he was, kind of became something of a reactionary.
Oh, okay. So reactionary. That's kind of the interesting. So people are taking me less seriously because I was making more cultural content. I think that's a bit of a validation, exactly what I was saying. I was making more cultural content. People get really upset with my political, ideological opinions because that's just the nature of when you get into that arena. And then they want to take me less seriously because they don't like me for my political opinions. Interesting, even though the content didn't change, credibility and viability and worth of those videos and my content on Shadiversity as viable and credible as it's always been.
His book, The Shadow of the Conqueror, I was particularly disappointed by.
Oh, he's even read my book. Okay. So I would say it's pretty accurate to say this gentleman's a former fan then.
When I first had... I actually...
And by the way, my book's not going to be any for everyone. If people are going to be disappointed, didn't enjoy it, perfectly valid. Very grateful for the thousands of people that have read my book and genuinely love it. I think I've nearly sold 50,000 copies of Shadow of the Conqueror. That's including all platforms. And oh my gosh, because Audible is up to 6,000 individual ratings. Last time I checked it, I don't, check it every single day. It was years since I checked this, actually. I think it was only on 3,000 ratings. It's rare for a self-published book to get this many ratings and reviews. And out of all those ratings, it is sitting on a solid 4.6 out of 5 stars, and even on Goodreads, 3.7 out of 5 stars, nearly 4 out of 5 stars. These are all hugely positive ratings. My book is massively positively well received and well reviewed, and if you are interested in an epic fantasy that is dark, it gets dark, right? And that's interesting, or turns a lot of people off, even though, it's funny, they try and attack me as an individual because my book goes in really dark places. I'm writing about the most evil person that's ever lived in this fantasy world, so has done some really bad things. They over-exaggerate things as well to try and make it as untasteful as possible because they don't want people to appreciate the book, read the book, like me, and they lie. They just flat out lie about the content in the book. And then there are many authors that have gone far further than the dark themes in Shadow of the Conqueror that they have no problem with. But they have a problem with me because there's something else happening under the surface.
I actually bought the book. His book is not that good. Maybe one day I'll talk about his book, Shadow.
So, Not good. That's it's always interesting because I'm not saying it is perfect, but I will say it's a very good book. It does depend on personal preference, all right? There's absolutely a writing style that is not enjoyable for a lot of people. I go heavy on descriptions, world building is important, and as a result, some people just do not like that style. But to call it objectively bad, that's not the case, because there are a lot of people that love specifically that style of writing. It's very much in the vein of Wheel of Time. I'm a massive Wheel of Time fan, as you should see. Barely on the edge, but all the entire Wheel of Time series is up there. And I love the detailed descriptions and the slower pace of it. And that's the type of the stuff that I like to emulate. If it's not for everyone, that's fine. There is another outside to criticism of my book where it's like, they say it's objectively bad, and then they just lie about it constantly. So if Anthony is wanting to review my book, I'd be interested to see if he'd be honest about it. And look, if he doesn't like it, perfectly fine. One of the most objective and fair reviews you can find about is actually Daniel Green's review of Shadow the Conqueror, and has even made a follow-up video after the fact saying that, on retrospect, he likes it even more.
Shadow of the Conqueror by Shad Brooks. This is a book I directly said in my review, I need to see the sequels to figure out how I'm going to feel on this, because it sets up a lot. It makes grand promises, and Shad Brooks does not back down in any way, shape, or form, I feel like, setting up exactly the storyline he wants to. But I've actually thought about this book more than I thought I would. It's stuck with me in greater ways than I would have ever predicted. And so I want to just give a tip of the hat in that sense. It's got some rougher edges. It's clearly an early novel from an author, but it's an admirable early novel from an author. Well above what can be expected that I even have for myself. Well above what I expect I will put out for my first book. But it's one I would happily recommend to a firm set of readers, especially those who look for a specific kind of fantasy. Heavily conflicted, morally gray character. I mean, this is an actual morally gray character. There's an engaging world. It's not your typical medieval fantasy. Nice magical elements in play. All of it coming together quite nice.
Daniel is a very well-respected YouTube book reviewer, and a lot of the reviews of the books where people were not being swayed one or the other by ideology and stuff are very fair, and you won't see ideology coming into it too much, but you will notice interesting correlation that a lot of the negative reviews that are really going hard in the paint after it coincide quite interestingly when more of the hate and criticisms come against me from the stuff that I make here on Night's Watch. Why do you think that's the case? Now, of course, I have rarely responded to the negative reviews of my book, even ones that are just full-on bullcrap, and there's a lot of them, but I have done it occasionally, not in a video, but I like say on Twitter X. There was an author that was wanting to say that he was going to do a deep dive as to how bad Shadow the Conqueror was, and then he, tagged me, and so I was like, okay, you inviting my opinion on that? And so, all right, I responded, because his review was one of the ones that I had seen, and it's funny, like, at the same time I decided, all right, let's look at some of these negative reviews, and I watched like a group of negative reviews at the time, and it was honestly astounding the amount of bullcrap in those reviews that were just blatantly lying. And his review was just so dishonest, it was shocking. And so I was like, all right, fine. You want to review my book? I'll review your review. And I made a flat list of all the nonsense and bullcrap that he was saying. And it goes like nearly everything he said in his review was just flat out objectively false. All right. And I could do this with so many of these bullcrap reviews where they're just lying straight. I mean, this one was a wild one where he says, like, a character in the book, Cusack, is naked all the time and wagging his wang in front of one of the primary characters. And literally, there's not a single scene in the book where Cusack is actually naked at all. He does not do the thing that is saying, well, that is doing all throughout the book. Not even friggin' once. All right. And constant, like, it's wild. It is honestly wild. The nonsense and bullcrap that people have, attacked my book for. And I have to say, because of Anthony's political leanings and the way that he is already being called out for disingenuously and just flat out dishonestly framing certain things, you can check out that Efap reaction. I don't have much hope that he's going to be objective and honest about my book when he reviews it. Maybe he will, but I don't have much hope.
I will say this right now. The consensus I've seen has been primarily really positive.
Yeah, at the time of my reaction, so it was only about a day, and from everything that I was seeing, it was mixed, but it does seem that's pretty positive now.
I don't see any negativity about the trailer beyond certain reactionaries. So here's
No, there's a lot of people in my comments that are completely in line with what I was saying, that yeah, and these are not reactionaries, they're just fans, nerd. Teasers and trailers, they can lie completely, okay? We've seen really good trailers that were attached to what ended up being really bad films. And
okay, that's true. That's a very good point.
thank you for acknowledging it. So, like, from the outset, at least Anthony has been willing to give me, you know, at least a prop. We'll see how it continues. But I've seen some people who have come after me, and they will not be willing to acknowledge anything, truthful thing that I say at all. And they are just so hard in the paint that they will try and twist and rip apart anything. It doesn't seem Anthony is that far gone. Thank goodness. So I appreciate that, you know, he's willing to agree with me. And that's the thing, because it's times like that that sometimes gives me hope. Like people, you know, I've seen, and I experienced currently as well, even with massive political disagreements of trailers, we can get along. Absolutely. And it gives me maybe hope that maybe Anthony could have been a guy, or could be a guy, that we could enjoy pop culture and stuff together and get along, even if we disagree massively politically. We'll have to see if he continues and if he is honest in other things. Because I know there's one thing where he gets something pretty wrong, which prompted me, okay, let's make this video and react.
James Gunn has described the film as trying to go into the more, like, getting into the characterization of Superman.
James Gunn also said that the Flash film was one of the best films that I've ever seen. I do not trust anything James Gunn says now. All right.
But let's see what he has to say. Again, when someone like Shad says they're concerned about the trailer, usually that means they think it's going to be quote-unquote woke, whatever that means.
Interesting. So already he's coming in with a bias and preempting, you know, the reasons for my concerns. Is like, no, my concerns for the trailer is based on the depiction of Superman, and that's the primary focus on it. I don't think I touch on, I'm trying to remember. I don't remember touching on particularly anything woke, except maybe that it's a more common kind of practice in more woke-leaning media to deconstruct the hero, okay, and destroy them and stuff. But I don't remember saying that in my trailer reaction. I know most of the focus of the trailer was on the merits of how they depicted Superman. If they're going to depict him in the way in which Superman, from my opinion, is done best, okay, the paragon of justice, the indomitable hero, the one that tries his very best to save others. That's was my perspective. But, you know, I'm an old school Superman fan, okay? As a kid, my favorite superheroes, I watched Superboy, Lois and Clark, and stuff like that. Though
you would watch Lois and Clark. You would like Dean Cain, wouldn't you?
Why wouldn't I? Oh, he thinks, what, Dean Cain is the worst Superman? Like, Dean Cain seems to get a lot of flack again because he's a more conservative leaning side as well. Actually never really got to read heaps of the comics. It was always the cartoons and the live action TV shows, especially the movies. Why is that a problem? I'm interested in that. It's like, we'll see. We'll see what I was just completely hooked on as a kid. And so it's actually... It seems like if I was to predict where this is going, he is going to use the fact that I haven't read much of the comics to try and undermine and say that my opinion is invalid and therefore not worth listening to. I don't know if he does go there, but that's what my expectation is, because usually when people approach arguments disingenuously, instead of looking at the arguments on the merits, a lot of, you know, the left-leaning, ideological, more progressive tactics are to try and... discredit the argument instead of address the argument. And they'll discredit usually by undermining someone's credibility, saying why their opinion is not worth listening to, and oftentimes they'll go that route. And one of the things that I could perceive could be wrong, we'll see, is that Shad hasn't even read the comics. He doesn't know what he's talking about. Now, that's a deflection tactic instead of addressing the actual argument, we'll see. I'm a bit unfamiliar with, but in terms of the tone and what we...
Okay, so one big thing with the comics is the movie, this new movie looks like it's heavily inspired by the story, What's So Funny About Truth, Justice, and the American Way. It's one of the greatest individual comics of Superman history.
Now, if the film is going to be based off of a single comic, now I haven't read the comic, okay, but I'm going off his presentation. I don't trust him as a reliable source on any of this. I've heard what he has tried to say about Runmahalf, and I think he skews things dramatically through an ideological lens, misrepresenting source material, Runmahalf in particular, to fit that narrative. All right, and so if he's going to be referencing source material, I just don't trust him as a reliable source. He would need to actually show within the source it doing exactly what it's saying without, cherry picking or purposely misrepresenting stuff as it's done with Runmahalf in the past. Because if this comic, right, is more true to the tone that the trailer is depicting, all right, that doesn't undermine my judgment and perception that the trailer, especially the opening in particular, I should say, right, misses the mark of what Superman is usually depicted in the more common and even popular works that people are familiar with, okay? If you look at the TV shows, the movies, the idea that Superman is this indomitable paragon of justice is one of the core themes of it. And so just saying that, perhaps you can go away from that, and that's perfectly fine because there is this more specific, comic, which does also kind of veer away from what Superman is. And therefore, this is true to Superman, even though it's in and of itself, perhaps a different presentation of what the more classic, common kind of depictions of Superman is. That doesn't then validate that this is, therefore, the accurate way Superman should be depicted.
If you're not a big Superman fan, that's okay. You don't have to be. And I want to...
Yes. Okay. It just sounds like this is, I'm setting up an arbitrary standard, but maybe
that
it's
was
not.
Just right now, because I don't like gatekeeping. I don't like any of that. You can have an opinion and a reaction of Superman, as a movie, even if you're not super familiar with the comics. Mm-hmm. Saying a story is like the comics is not always a good defense against criticism.
Thank you. Yes, I completely agree.
That being said.
Meaning what I just said, okay, is going to, contradict that now, or say this is where it doesn't apply, so therefore I can criticize Shad for doing the exact thing that I just said is perfectly fine.
I have a feeling that his interpretation of who Superman is as a character is going to be completely different from the version established in the comics.
What version, and I don't trust him as a reliable source either. I will happily defer to my own understanding of who Superman is as a character from the media of Superman that I've consumed over his, presentation and his interpretation of what the comics supposedly are.
And I can already have a few ideas what he's going to do. I don't want to say anything yet. I want to let him say his piece. I find it interesting. Both he and I are kind of preempting what the other is saying based on, how prediction or feelings of what people of a certain ideological spectrum usually align to. Respond to what he says, but I have a feeling that he's going to say a few things that indicate that his interpretation of Superman is so counter to the version in the comics. Okay, so, all right. It seems like that's where he's going to be going with it. He's going to be presenting himself as the authority of what Superman the comics represents. Do not give a crap what you think Superman represents in the comics. I don't trust you as a reliable source in any measure on pop culture. I have seen what you're willing to interpret and twist things to fit your own narrative. All right? I will absolutely defer to my understanding of Superman from the media of Superman I have consumed. It has sold and is beloved by so many readers for decades. And I have a feeling that... See, now I was speaking already from a arbitrary state of authority is trying to blah, blah, blah. Oh, Superman is definitely depicted a certain way, and media and fans, that's how they, it's like, prove it. Just have a look at how this begins. Okay, so let me tell you my opinion before he shows his opinion. I think this opening is fantastic.
Perfectly fine for him to think that, okay? I'm not trying to say he's wrong and everything. This is subjective stuff. I wonder how he'll say, because I did not like the opening, all right? But this is the general nerdy discussion that I think is fine. There's no issue here. Right out of the gate, I'm like, nah, okay? I'm not saying Superman can't be challenged in the film. This is going to be important. Perhaps we'll be coming back to this, all right? Because I wonder if people are trying to say, oh, look, Shad just wants Superman to be very soon, because I say I love how he's being, I love Superman can be indomitable and unbeatable and everything. But that's not to say I feel he can't be challenged in the film or even defeated, as I say very clearly right here. I'm not saying Superman can't be challenged in the film. I'm not that there are ways in which he could get injured like this, and I'm not saying you can't have moments in the film, but that would be in the film itself where it's justified, where we don't know what's led up to this, what's caused this to happen. You choose to present him as being battered, broken, and defeated. That's not what Superman fans, that's not what I want to see out of Superman.
One of the best-selling comics of all time is The Death of Superman. Superman movies have, for years, had this one issue.
Okay, so just because, yes, there's times when Superman has been challenged, even dead, doesn't undermine the point where I think one of the primary enjoyable parts of Superman is him being that indomitable, yes, overpowered paragon. And my criticism with the James Gunn trailer where Superman is battered and defeated, specifically, that's the opening with it. I never said that you can't have him reach that point, okay? And to me, it's almost like how they jumped the gun of Superman's death in DCEU, where that's something that you want to build up to, okay? That this Superman's death, the reason why that was such a big thing was because it was in contrast to him being so powerful and so indomitable, and therefore his defeat then means more. When you open and lead with that at the beginning of a new Superman series, for me, that misses the mark.
Superman movies have, for years, had this one issue. This one core issue that a lot of Superman movies have, even the Zack Snyder films to an extent. That Superman is not challenged physically by his opponents.
I'm sorry, Zod challenged him physically. I just think that is objectively false, okay? Both in Man of Steel and in Superman 2. Anthony has also seemed to have forgotten that kryptonite exists. In actual fact, Superman seems to get challenged physically in almost every single Superman movie. Superman has been challenged, and I don't necessarily say it is an issue that Superman is so indomitable, because that's what I think what he's trying to say, even though he has referenced an objectively incorrect, point to support what he's trying to say, is that he's trying to say Superman can be difficult to write for because he's so powerful. I think that's a selling point of his character. I think that's one of the appeals of his character, and so undermining or leaning it too much in the other way, I think starts to undermine the character, because that's one of the appeals of him. Superman can be challenged in other ways outside of being physically, but again, he can be challenged physically as well, as has been done in the media, where he's saying that this has been one of the big issues.
It's just challenged conceptually. And the problem is that Superman should be pushed. He should be... I don't like the idea that Death Battle has presented of Superman, that he's, infinitely powerful.
Yeah, I'm a bit on that same page in terms of the infinitely powerful stuff, but I do like the fact that Superman is hugely indomitable, all right? And that moment when Superman arrives on the scene, as a kid, I remember thinking, oh, now you're stuffed. You're done. Superman's here. He's going to mess you up, okay? But it also adds weight then when someone does come along who can challenge him physically, because we know that their power level must be insane as well. And it's like, oh, heck, now it's on. All right. These things can work in favor of the character, and it's one of the appeals of it.
Superman should be challenged. Superman should have adversity.
I'm not saying he shouldn't. I'm not saying Superman can't be challenged in the film.
Issue a lot of audiences have with Superman, the character, from their perspective. Again, comic fans don't have this problem necessarily, but...
Prove that heaps of audience have that problem with, because it's now speaking to... Comic fans don't really have a problem with, the presentation saying that, Superman, the issue is that he can't be challenged physically. And now it's trying to say broader audiences have that issue. It's like, I don't necessarily think so. Have a look at the success of the media of Superman that reaches those broader audiences that depict him being so crazy overpowered. Superman the Motion Picture, a very popular, successful film from memory, and Superman is crazy powered in that. He literally turns back time. So he seems to be speaking as from a position of authority and representing the views of nearly everyone, the broader public sees that, and just putting words in their mouth without any valid, evidence to back up what he's saying.
Mainstream audiences will think Superman is so powerful, he can't be beat.
See, he's just speaking for all of the mainstream audiences, and I think what he's saying is just false, as evident by positive reception of mainstream audiences that have watched Superman media where he's overpowered.
It's almost boring how he can just solve every problem by fighting through it, but this gives us...
I know there is that criticism there, but it's presenting it as the primary main issue broader audiences have. Prove it. It's just kind of speaking on behalf of them without any evidence.
A sense, okay, this is a Superman that's going to be challenged. It's going to be pushed beyond his limitations. And that's exciting. That's interesting, I think.
No, not necessarily, okay? It's interesting to him. Perfectly fine and valid. Is it just objectively interesting and better than the things that Superman has succeeded on for many years so far? Okay? There's no evidence to say that as well. And for me, it's a big miss. I don't think this necessarily means it's going to be exciting. There's been so much of the deconstruction of Superman already and trying to do different things. Like, let's make him more, edgy, depressed, and other things like that. That's one of the things, criticisms people have had with the DC, DCEU Superman, Man of Steel Superman and stuff. And so what I was hoping for is a return to form, in a sense, for Superman, where I see this opening and it's like, okay, you're still wanting to, let's show you how, Superman can be defeated.
To an audience, because it goes, hey, your hero will struggle. And that's really cool to me, I think.
It's perfectly, if that's cool to him, all right. And I'd never said Superman can't struggle in the film. And it's really the issue that they opened with this. I'd probably have less, objection if perhaps it came a bit later. It's just because they chose specifically to open the trailer with this, for me, it sent a message. Okay, and it revealed what their approach was to the character. And I mentioned I could be wrong. The film could be good. The trailer could be lying and misrepresenting or giving a completely different tone of what the film is. Okay, but from judging the trailer on itself, this was a miss, choosing it to, open this way.
So what I think with this image that it does that Shad's missing, which as a storyteller he should really know,
that's again, I'm putting himself in a position of authority. As a storyteller, he should know this because I'm more informed in it. It's just slimy, disingenuous kind of tactics that I don't like. Okay, and perhaps goes under people's radar or people that are all on board to try and dunk on me. It's but he's given no indication that he knows what good storytelling is or how a storyteller should be aware of this. Things we'll hear what he thinks a storyteller should be able to pick up.
Is that Superman has been presented as triumphant in every single other image of this narrative. So
not every again, hyperbole is over exaggerating there. And again, my criticism was with the opening as well.
Far of every Superman movie, he's presented initially as this triumphant figure.
Every other Superman movie, and a lot of those Superman movies where he's presented as a triumphant figure, they're loved. People love him for a reason. There's the reasons why people love Superman.
Every good story where a character has great power showcases him overcoming adversity and struggling to beat.
Every single story? I'm not saying conflict isn't good, but I always respond with caution when people paint with a universally broad brush. He literally said every single story. It's maybe most stories. And again, it seems like it's framing me that I'm saying that Superman can't be challenged. It's I literally said, he's already heard me say in the trailer so far that he can be challenged. I'm not saying Superman can't be challenged in the film. It's where they chose to place this where I felt it missed the mark. Because for me, again, I'm repeating myself, feels like they're focusing on the wrong thing. And missing what, one of the things that we love about Superman.
So 5. So this is the 9th live action film to have Superman. So we got to have some variety here,
We don't have to have it because this is whatever the 9th film Superman is in. Because if people, just took his logic of what he's saying here and ran with it, so to speak, right? It could be used to justify completely bastardizing the source material to whatever. So, oh, we need some variety, right? It's like, no. Like, sometimes people like the character for what the character is. Okay? And so I am not saying you can't experiment and try different things, but with a track record, especially from Hollywood these days, is that nearly, not everyone, but nearly everyone that is trying this, they are nowhere near as talented as the people that made the source material, and they just bastardize and miss the mark completely, to the point where so many of us are saying, just be more accurate to the source material. You have this great blueprint, all right? We like it for what it is. We don't want variety that then makes it different to the things that we loved about the character, the source, and everything. And so I kind of hate to say it was like, we need variety as a justification. It's like, see, we should be changing it now because we've had so much Superman. We want something different. It's like, I love Superman for the reasons of what makes Superman Superman, and I want those things kept the same.
He does not get the character. He does not get what Superman is about.
You haven't given any definitive explanation or evidence as to it. Now he's just saying, he doesn't understand what to say, haven't shown it. In fact, the things that I've said about what Superman is and what I love about him and what many people love about him, that's correct. You haven't given any evidence to contradict that, but now you've jumped to the other. He just does not understand the character. Again, it's one of those slimy tactics that people use where this is just an attempt to undermine credibility instead of addressing the actual evidence and argument that I've put forward.
Yeah, so Shad doesn't get Superman already. That's the thing right now.
You've given no evidence. You've mentioned a couple of different things here and there. You've referenced one comic book as an attempt to try and justify the tone of the trailer, but you've literally not mentioned a single thing that contradicts the standard that I've already presented about one of the primary things people love about Superman. What I love about Superman is his power, his indomitable virtue, his paragon of justice. Okay. And he's now trying to say Shad doesn't understand the character at all without giving anything to refute how I've established his character. But instead of addressing that, as I mentioned, this is the commentary, and I predicted that this is where, people from this end of the political spectrum usually, what they do, this is how they go about argumentation, completely confirming my expectations so far.
Now I'm getting, he does not understand Superman, he does not get Superman. One thing also I will say about this Clark Kent.
Okay, so it goes on, because this is a part I have seen, explain why this Clark can potentially work. And guess what? We agree on this point where he says here, because I mentioned in my reaction, this Clark Kent looks decent. Christopher Reeve's Clark Kent was the best. And look at that. Anthony and I would be able to agree on things, probably have a good conversation. The issue that I take is the tactics of the argumentation already, he's not being honest. Okay, he hasn't addressed the thing that I'm saying, what I want out of a Superman movie, and instead is trying to dismiss that. Shad just doesn't fundamentally understand the character at all, with very poor references to back him up that don't contradict that standard I've established for Reeves Clark Kent.
So far, yeah, I agree.
He even changed the posture and the way that he held himself.
There we go.
But I don't understand the character at all. Interesting, because if I didn't understand the character, he's literally there. Shad just understand, how could I get this correct from his perspective, and how could we be agreeing on that? Might it be that your characterization of my understanding of Superman is complete bullcrap, and you're doing it as a disingenuous tactic to try and win internet points?
Okay, so Shad, I actually agree with him on that one.
But I completely misunderstand and don't get Superman as a character. Come on, Anthony. Be honest, man.
He's right.
These are ornaments, tangential elements to the film that I feel it needs to get right, but if the core of the film misses the mark, even if they get these tangential things right, it's not going to redeem or save the film.
Oh, I fully disagree with you on that one. This is not...
Okay, point I said, because we're going to break this down. If he fully disagrees with me, let's hope that he understands what I was saying. Because what I'm saying is that the film gets the tangential elements right, but if the core of the film misses the mark, those tangential elements are not going to redeem the film. I'll still be very disappointed by it. He fundamentally disagrees about this, that point that I was making.
Not tangential. This is the core of the character.
Hang on, what?
I fully disagree with you on that one. This is not tangential. This is the core of the character.
How Clark Kent looks. It's like, no, the core of the character is what Superman is. This is a tangential thing. So, and I said, I want to get the tangential stuff right. I want to get Clark Kent right, okay? And I'm talking about, what? His appearance. How they depict and show Clark Kent, not his personality and core characteristics as a character. He seems to think, and completely missed the mark, that I'm talking about that Clark Kent's personality, right? He thinks I'm talking about that. No, I'm talking about how they visually show Clark Kent how he behaves in front of Lois and stuff if he is showing that there's going to be, a difference in posture and things that people would actually not be able to see, look at Clark Kent and see Superman. I'm not talking about his moral compass, the core of who he is as a character, which is what Anthony seems to now leap to and say, that's what I'm saying. No.
If Superman the character is nailed correctly, the whole movie will come into place as a result.
That's bullcrap, all right? Like, if they nail Superman as a character, you can enjoy the film still, even if they get other elements of the film incorrect. That's the standard I'm sharing, and I think this is absolutely true. And that, because what I say in my trailer reaction, I say the reverse, right? If they get the tangential elements right, but the core of the film is wrong, ruins it, okay? Anthony is saying that if you get the core of the character right, it inherently makes everything else come together. No, it doesn't. It doesn't inherently make everything else come together. If they ruin certain other aspects that are just objectively flawed and don't work, even if the core works really well and does well, it doesn't redeem those things. It can make them tolerable, all right, that you can ignore, and it's easier to get past them, okay? And there are so many films, like Alita Battle Angel is probably a perfect example of this, actually, because there's a lot of dumb, incorrect, plot-holey kind of stuff, and the motivations, the villain and stuff, but the core of that film, the character of Alita, motivations, and the action, there's so much that works in that film, and especially the core, I love so much that it makes a lot of the things that it misses the mark on, that are kind of orbiting what the core is, completely tolerable, easier to ignore. And what I found is when, like, a TV show or movie, the core that misses the mark and it's horrible, it almost can exaggerate and make those tangential things even worse because they stick out more. And so he is saying something with no logical through line. He's just saying if the core is right, everything else comes together. That is just objectively not the case with how storytelling works. It's almost one of those times when, you could hazard a statement saying that a storyteller should really know that. Now, that's not generally the thing, but I'm doing it, of course, because that's what he tried to say to me. He's like, Shad is a storyteller. He should really know this. Like, if you are familiar with how stories work, that is something that I think is more fundamental to know as a storyteller, that there is, and he seems to understand the importance of the core, but now he is exaggerating that because the core works, everything's coming together. He literally says that. We can re-listen to him.
If Superman the character is nailed correctly, the whole movie will come into place as a result.
Whole movie will come into play. No. Now, if he's trying to say the whole movie can be enjoyable and it'll work better because they nailed the most important part, yeah, I agree. But it doesn't mean that everything is going to come into place at all. Not even close. Like, nah, nonsense.
People have a soft spot for even Superman 3 and 4 because Christopher Reeve is...
Now I was just going to continue on this, and he has completely missed what I was saying. Now he's addressing a point that I did not make. My criticism was that if they get Clark Kent's way he presents himself to other people right, it's not going to redeem it if the core of the character in Superman is done very poorly. That was my point. He is now addressing not even that, not even close. It's a complete straw man, but he's going on like he's addressing something that Shad got wrong, and people who just missed that very deceptive sleight of hand that he played, where he's now switched the argument and addressing a straw man. People who do not notice that, they're going to be going, yeah, Shad doesn't really understand. It's like, that's literally not the argument I made at all. This is the presentation, the depiction of Superman you want people to notice first and foremost. It makes me worry that it potentially could be a deconstructionist, approach to Superman, or they're going to break down the character and not focus.
Is your superhero struggling deconstruction? No,
that's not what I said. I said it concerns me that that's where they could be going. At no point did I say that, I don't like Superman struggling. I literally say previous in the trailer that you can absolutely have that. But Anthony doesn't want to approach this honestly and is just trying to, I guess, leap to any disingenuous straw man that he can latch onto at this point. Let's listen to what I say again. It makes me worry that it potentially could be a deconstruction. It makes me worry that it potentially could be a deconstruction of Superman as a character. And then Anthony just wants to take that and say, well, listen to us, Ross.
Is your superhero struggling deconstruction?
And then Anthony wants to take that to mean that superhero struggling is deconstruction. Not even close to the concern that I was expressing that might happen. I'm not even saying the trailer is doing that. I'm saying it concerns me that it could go in that direction. So, can Anthony not simply hear what I'm saying honestly and address that truthfully, like, instead of making a straw man? Because so far this is pretty regular straw man stuff where it's just trying to misinterpret and latch onto anything.
Zack Snyder deconstructed Superman. No, it was very sloppy. Deconstruction is not a good or a bad thing. It is just a thing.
Now, I actually would agree with him here. My experience is that has been done very poorly, as we've seen in the past, and that's my concern of what they're going to be doing with Superman. I actually will acknowledge that I think a deconstruction could potentially work well, where they want to subvert certain tropes. I'm sure there's, stories and stuff that I have really liked that have been deconstructionist, okay? But the execution of what we've seen with Superman done in the past, very poor, and it's at the point where I've seen it too much and didn't work. Don't try it again. Give us the paragon, virtue, justice, Superman that we want. And then they have the inspirational music coming with James Gunn's, it feels like it's almost an ego thing where James Gunn is like, it's about me. It's not about Superman. We're getting
no, it's the Superman theme, dude. It's played through the whole.
It's not that it's the Superman theme. It's that instead of showing Superman or something interesting about the film with a theme, they present James Gunn. He's just trying to say it doesn't matter what they present with the Superman theme because of the Superman theme. That's redeems what they're showing on the screen with it. Maybe I'm being too uncharitable.
You are.
But it's rubbing me the wrong way. You can think I'm being uncharitable. And I said, maybe I am. All right. But I also think my concern, is clearly founded on something.
The music plays with all the scene breaks in general. That's like how it's designed. It's meant to be like...
No. It was purposely done to have the kickoff to the music with the James Gunn logo appearing. Okay, that was obviously intentional. This, at this point, is just trying to latch onto any type of thing that potentially could be criticized when this is a subjective thing. If he thinks, I'm being too critical, perfectly fine. But I don't think that undermines my criticism or, my credibility in any. I don't care about James Gunn or the fact that he made Guardians of the Galaxy.
That's a personal problem, my dude.
Yeah, I get that. All right, but I can still say it. I'm allowed to share my personal subjective view, and there's a good amount of people that do agree with me as well.
I really want to see Clark's parents alive. I really don't like how they kill one of them off in every adaptation.
Interestingly, because on that logical standpoint where you have a subjective kind of reaction to how, certain things Superman have done in the past, right? That's completely equivalent to my subjective reaction to the way they chose to depict Superman at the beginning. Now, Anthony's logic, all right, his standard is that, it has been done similar in one of the previous comics before. And because you don't like it, all right, even though I'm focusing on what the more common kind of depiction of what Superman is, but because it was done in a comic or a work of Superman previously, you don't know anything about Superman. That's kind of the logical through line and construction that is built to undermine my credibility here. Yet he's just done the exact same thing, where he has something that he feels he does not like, he does not want to see. But are they not Superman things where one or both the parents have died in the past, okay? Versions of him done in the past. Does that undermine Anthony's credibility according to the standard he is proposing here? Does he not know anything about Superman as a result?
I'd rather them both be alive. I prefer that in the DC animated universe, where he has both parents alive and they're both wholesome figures in his life. I like that more. So I'm hoping that this is just him, talking to his dad after.
Now, this is the thing. I'm not the one who set up this trying to kind of arbitrary standard that if someone has a subjective, outlook of what they want to see in Superman because of the preferences that they have, okay, that if that is then, not done in one of the comic books or source materials or anything like that, that then undermines someone's credibility, they don't understand the character. I don't think that at all. I actually think this is the type of opinions that I really like amongst nerds. I want to hear what people want, what they like, and what they hope to see out of the thing. It's Anthony that has made this arbitrary standard to try and undermine my credibility as a form to criticize me and my reaction to the trailer. And yet it completely believes that is doing essentially what is equivalent. Tangential.
It's not tangential. That's the core of the character.
No, I'm saying about the parents. See how he's doing it again? He's trying to say something that is a separate kind of thing to the core of the character and then interpreting that as the core of the character. There's been very great, well done, enjoyed, received Superman stories that has the father passed away. That's usually the more common thing. And then there's ones where both parents are alive. Lois and Clark Superman, perfect example. But then he wants to latch onto something that is not the core of the character and then represent it that it is. This is like, I'm not talking about Superman, who he is as an individual here. I'm talking about if his dad is going to be alive or not in the film. That is a tangential thing. The film can work regardless of their choice on this. Anthony latching on and then strawmanning completely.
This is the character.
And now he's criticizing something that I'm not even mentioning or focusing on. That's not my argument at all. I wish this guy could actually, is either being dishonest or he lacks the capacity to understand someone's argument. Which one is it? Let me know in the comments. What do you think? Which one?
This is Superman's character. He is meant to be a son of two worlds. He's meant to have this wholesome, honest relationship with his families.
I'm not saying he shouldn't have a wholesome, honest relationship with his parents. I'm saying if the dad is alive or not, that's not going to affect how well the film will be if they miss the core of the character. That is what I'm saying. He is arguing against nonsense that I haven't said. To get Superman right, you need to get the core concept of this character right. Otherwise, all these other things that you might be doing well, doesn't matter.
Well, Shad, what is the core of Superman in your opinion?
I've mentioned that many times. I've mentioned it in the reaction. I've mentioned in this trailer as well. Superman represents the indomitable hero, okay? The paragon, the great ideal and exemplar that we would want to aspire to. All right, that's the image. Superman in victory as that aspirational image is now trying to pretend that I haven't even defined it when I've been pretty clear about it, even if you're lacking the ability to understand.
Saying all these elements are tangential, that's not important. But you're describing his relationship with other people, his interactions with the world.
No, I have mentioned specifically how he presents himself as Clark Kent and if his father is going to be alive. Those are the points that I've mentioned as a reference to the tangential things that are separate to the core. Pretty clear and obvious that's what I have said, but Anthony's trying to construe that and completely lie about what I said, that I'm talking about how he interacts with people and who he is as an individual. That is not even close to what I'm saying.
You're talking about all the elements of his character that are core to his character.
No! That is not what I mean. I literally said if it's relationship with that. Oh, it's amazing.
Reflecting of the core of his ideas. But you're not describing what Superman is yet.
I've done it multiple times. It's fun. It's again, it's the dishonest argumentation that you regularly see from the left. Okay, instead of addressing the arguments, the things you literally have said, then is going to be dishonest and lie about it. Is saying Shad. He hasn't even defined the core of what Superman is when I've already done it. Shad is talking about, it doesn't matter if Superman's personality is done right. I've been saying, no, that is one of the most important things to get right. But now I was trying to literally, it's unbelievable, disingenuous, slimy tactics. And then, of course, the undermining the credibility, even though he's acknowledged my credibility and agreeing with multiple things, Shad doesn't even know anything about the character. This is almost a masterclass in an example of how people on the ideological woke left argue and interact, and it's just like I predicted that this is really seems to be the type of stuff that's the way that he's going to be addressing myself and the arguments.
Yes, crypto.
Okay, so it seems like he loves crypto. I've already said I don't like it. If you like him, that's fine. I think it's dumb. I'm interested if how much he'll latch on to me that I just don't like Superman if I don't like crypto, right? So, look, he's taking particular issue with this.
Shad, what hurt you as a child?
Oh, look at that.
Seriously, what hurt you?
If you don't like crypto, you have something wrong with your child. Look, I hope that he's just doing this as a joke, because even some people in my own fans like, Shad, you just don't like dogs, and they're doing it as a joke, right? But I wonder how far he takes it, or if he actually going to try and...
How can you look at a dog being amazing in a cape and not love that?
Easy, because it's friggin' retarded. It's dumb. That's why.
Let's hear him out. Let's hear him out.
Including him in the film is not going to attract the normies or the wider audience.
You think putting a dog in front of your trailer is not going to attract a wider audience?
Yeah. Now, this is an argument I am open to hearing, and maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I misunderstand how much people love superpowered dogs in superhero shows. Okay. But I don't think a lot of people watched, there's actually, a super dog is called Underdog or something like that. I don't think a lot of people watch that. I don't think a lot of people watch Super Pets. There's an animated film with DC superheroes and there's the Super Pets. Okay. All right. I have points of reference where just the fact that it's a dog in the film doesn't necessarily mean that's going to be the main selling point for people liking it. I think, look, I'm happy to acknowledge that people like Crypto. I don't. Okay. And for those people that like dogs so much, like Crypto, it does seem like that they will like the film more because of that. But on the other side, I think there is a wide range of people. And look, happy to admit, maybe I did over exaggerate my perspective on this, that I said people generally are not going to respond positively to that. That seems to be incorrect. And I will happily acknowledge that. See, when you place an actual argument, all right, I'm willing to reflect. This is something I'm willing to do. I rarely see people who are attacking me, people like, Anthony and everything, to actually acknowledge especially when they're called out on lying through their bloody teeth, they always dodge the issue, okay? They seem to have no shame of how dishonest and how much they lie. Even though it's so clearly, you can demonstrate and call them out blatantly. Right here, as I've been showing, okay? But even though there's a lot of people who like dogs, no, I still have the opinion, but perhaps I could be swayed on it. Give me evidence for it, right? I don't think Crypto is going to be the thing that's going to sell this movie to the wider audience. I consider myself a big fan of Superman, yet I can also...
You haven't read the fucking comic!
Is that the arbitrary standing point? If you haven't read the comics, you can't be a big fan of Superman. Nonsense.
Comics? How can you be a big fan of Superman? You don't read the comics!
Arbitrary standard, and now is trying to latch onto that, and I predicted that's what he would do, is trying to latch onto that, because I haven't read the comics, that's going to be a means to undermine my credibility. I can't be a big fan now, because I haven't read the comics. Now, of course, I've read some. Haven't read them all. Not by a long shot. But massive big fan of Superman. He was my childhood superhero. I've got pictures. I've been dressing up as Superman and everything like that. The amount that you are a fan of something, I don't like to necessarily put barriers up. There are certain standards, like, if you want to change fundamental things about the property, I generally take that as evidence to show that you don't actually love the thing if you're wanting to change core aspects of it. I think that's a fair and more objective metric to determine if someone is a fan or not. But in terms of have you consumed X amount of media, no, that's nonsense, okay? It depends how much you actually love the character. How much has it really affected you in your life and things, and how much you want to, respect the source material. So acknowledge that there's a lot of goofy, dumb crap in that old stuff, okay? And including it is not a win.
Okay, Chad, let me ask you a question.
Hang on, but what I said, is that wrong? That there's a lot of goofy, dumb crap in the comic books, and not necessarily that shouldn't be adapted into more serious works.
Yeah. How is Superman having a pet dog who happens to have superpowers a bad thing?
I don't feel it necessarily fits with the more mature adaptations of Superman. I think it undermines a lot of things, because Crypto is insanely powerful. It's got the powers of Superman, essentially, okay? That's almost world-destroying power. Superman should be using Crypto all the time then. It would be his main sidekick. This is incredibly... dogs can be trained. Can be trained really effectively. Crypto seems to be pretty obedient in this instance. I also think it's dumb in terms of, I already have, trouble. Subjective thing, but I already have trouble swallowing the fact that Kryptonians look exactly like humans. They're aliens. I think you can kind of justify it with maybe convergent evolution, stuff like that. But then to say they also have dogs that look exactly like human dogs and everything from a completely alien environment is no. That I can suspend my disbelief so much, and then when you want to double whammy, it's not happening. It's not happening at all. Now, there perhaps is a way that you could justify it more logically. Instead of Crypto being from Krypton, that is a dog from Earth that somehow gains Superman's powers. There are some instances where Superman powers have been somewhat transferable in certain, adaptations and stories, and I could accept it better then. Okay, but a dog from Krypton, that's just a nonsense, silly thing. And then, of course, there's the issues of his existence in the world itself. That's my answer. Yes.
How do you not get that people love dogs?
I obviously understand that. But the fact that I think crypto is dumb, right, is not me saying that I just can't understand people like dogs. No. I think that's a completely separate issue to if it works in a story or not. There are sometimes the inclusion of dogs works really well. Reference Mistborn. There's a wolfhound in Mistborn. Integrated perfectly, justifiable. Love it. Okay? It's a dog that talks as well, by the way. It's how execution. I do not see the execution of crypto ever have been done logically or a way that wasn't stupid.
Why would a superhero having a pet be a bad thing?
I've just explained.
Superman...
But it's funny. He seems to think like, it would be impossible to have my opinion. My opinion is utterly ridiculous, the way that is reacting. How could you possibly think that? I'm sorry, Anthony. You make yourself look like it because it's a complete arbitrary standard that you're just pretending is, the thing that obviously everyone would naturally understand and agree with. No, there's a lot of people that think crypto stuff.
Is a guy who runs around in primary colors with a big...
He's doing this argument. Is like, because there are unbelievable things separate to the dog, that means you should just accept every other nonsense. This is so retarded. This is the type of thing, the exact type of criticism where people try to deflect the criticisms of Star Wars because it's a story about space wizards meant for children. It's exactly that argument. This is a retarded nonsense argument. There are, of course, fantastical, non-realistic things that are justified in the world building and make sense with the adaptation, and think that just because that's there doesn't mean all nonsense can easily be accepted. Stupid, absolutely retarded argument, this. And he's doubling down into it.
But a dog is where it gets too far for you?
Yes, absolutely. And that's not an unreasonable thing. It's not just a dog. It's a dog with superpowers, with a cape, has Superman's powers that comes from Krypton. It is a silly nonsense thing. I don't want little Superman shooting out of Superman's palms either. That was in the old school comic books. Thanos' copter. I don't want that adapted perfectly because that's a silly, dumb thing. There's lots of silly, dumb things. But it's just so funny that Anthony is like, look, I can't believe you accept this bit of nonsense when you expect this. So it's basically either undermining everything is nonsense and you accept it all, or is trying to present the actual things that is silly and nonsense as completely valid and equivalent to all the other stuff that makes more sense. Stupid argument.
What is going on here?
Yeah, I'm asking myself that too, Anthony. Like, the fact you can't get this is bizarre.
Oh my goodness. And here's the thing too at Crypto. He has not shown up in any live action Superman movie to this point.
Yeah, good. He's dumb.
This is the first appearance of Crypto, and already this gives a distinct tone to the film.
And I think it's an incorrect tone, okay? If you like it, all power to you. But the fact that, it seems like Anthony's trying to present the tone as objectively better or superior as a result. His subjective taste on the tone is better than my subjective judgment that, it misses the mark. No, these are... And we'll find out when the movie comes out. See which one works or not. Who's right or not.
When it comes to James Gunn and animals, you know he's going to do something really good.
No, you don't. That's not a guarantee. Okay? Not everything James Gunn makes is gold. All right?
Crypto is also a really well-liked, iconic character.
A lot of people, agree with me that that's dumb. At least he's not saying everyone. At least he's not painting with a completely...
Among younger audiences. And you're going to want to make sure...
Also share the references. I don't trust him as a reliable source on this stuff.
You attract more people than just the adults. This is the mindset that goes, we don't want to have Robin in our movie because Robin's dumb. Robin's silly.
False equivalence. I know people have sometimes said that argument. It is about execution. I'm judging what I'm seeing here on the execution. This execution of Crypto. And guess what? I literally have already said in this video, there might be a way you could make Crypto work. That is a dog from Earth that receives Superman's powers. There's still issues about how he gets integrated in the story then, but that is more palatable, more logical, because it is about execution. So clearly already by the context of the video so far, I've mentioned that by context, okay?
That's the mentality Shad's embodying here.
No, that's clearly not the mentality. Straw man again.
Having the greater world of Superman's universe makes him interesting. It's a positive, not a negative.
No, it depends on execution, how it's done. And there are things that absolutely do not work with a more serious, realistic adaptation. Even just a live-action adaptation.
Feature, not a bug.
A super dog? Come on. Am I the only one who thinks Crypto is a dumb thing?
Yes.
You Oh, really? Yeah, bullcrap. No, there's heaps of people that hate crypto. When you're adapting it, you kind of would want to avoid the dumb. And it's just so funny. He's putting himself in a position of authority to speak for everyone now. He's like, I'm the only one. He literally said that. I asked, am I the only one? He says, yes, I am the only one. He's saying, I'm the only one that is like crypto, which is just objectively false, right? It's a lie. And this just shows you how blatantly dishonest people on the left are willing to be just to try and dunk on the opposition. Okay? It's like they have no sense of dignity, all right? That they'll happily lie. And honestly, anyone who would push Anthony, like they're talking with him, he would obviously have to acknowledge that. And if he does, he knows he's just lying and he doesn't care about it, which is a very just like mask off thing about the quality of his character, is willing to lie just and be happy about dishonesty blatantly, knowing that people know that is lying, right? If he was to do that. Because an honest person, when pushed on, will obviously have to acknowledge that, of course, there's a good number of people that don't like crypto. Okay? A lot of people agree with me. They've literally comments and everything. Okay? I can share direct examples of people agreeing with me that crypto is dumb, but I'm the only one. All right. And this isn't exaggerated hyperbole. He's just trying to put himself in a position of authority to represent and skew the things dishonestly to try and dunk on what he perceives what seems to be an ideological enemy. Stuff, we're not going to have Superman shooting little Superman out of his hands. That's something he could do from the OG.
Yeah, from the Silver Age.
Oh, so now this is too dumb. Oh, it's like,
having the greater world of Superman's universe makes him interesting. It's a positive, not a negative.
Then I give an example. It's like, but no. And so now it's completely backtracking and contradicting what I said before.
Comics, yeah, but we're not talking. But this is still, crypto isn't just.
I need to go back. He literally said, including things from the broader Superman universe, right?
Having the greater world of Superman's universe makes him interesting. It's a positive, not a negative.
Except if it's from the Silver Age. Exactly, right? You're full of crap, Anthony. Come on. This is just laughable, where you've proposed a standard, okay? And then later I share an example that contradicts that standard, which even he seems like he can't go that far. And they're like, okay, yeah, he seems like he's agreeing with me that there's some things in Superman that, yes, the broader Superman world, right? Going all the way back, I never excluded that, and he didn't exclude that when he was trying to say, you should include all this stuff, right? But now it's like, even that's too far for him.
Yeah, but we're not talking, but this is still, crypto isn't.
Clearly I was talking about that. And I do conflate crypto with a similar type of thing, where I think it's a dumb thing from the comics that I would say shouldn't be adapted, but there might be a way to make it work. I'll acknowledge that.
Is just a dog with superpowers. That's not too strange in a world like the DC universe.
It's in the context, okay? Like I said, there could be a way to make it work to have a dog with superpowers. I already mentioned it, okay? But a dog from Krypton, okay? And that is not addressing, like I said, the issues with integrating him properly, all right? Crypto, a dog with superpowers, that's just an insane thing that, why isn't he being there when he's helping Superman when he's fighting Doomsday? Like, crypto could be really helpful in so many instances. So it's either, if you're going to include him, you need to include him properly and address his presence in the universe. Okay, because there should be rippling effects. That should be effect that people just kind of forget about and ignore.
Crypto being here is not that strange. In fact, it's a positive. And again,
his speaking from the arbitrary position authority that is saying, and it's just a positive, universally. It's like, it's going to be on execution. And I'm more than happy to say that if they make it work in the film, there might be a way to do it. I'll acknowledge it. But he's just taking it. It's a positive, universally, no argument at all. Really. Because that is a statement from someone who doesn't seem to understand that writing things that can be difficult to believe is going to be about the execution.
I trust James Gunn with this kind of stuff.
I don't.
Because James Gunn has done animals in superhero movies well.
I've seen him miss the mark a lot with things that he's done well in the past. Focus on the best elements of Superman. And as I mentioned...
What are the best elements of Superman, Shad?
I've already mentioned them.
Explain to us with your knowledge of Superman comics.
Superman represents the indomitable hero, okay? The paragon, the great ideal and exemplar that we would want to aspire to, all right? That's the image. Superman in victory as that aspirational image. Again, so do you see how his tone is starting to become more condescending now, where he's tried to lay the foundation, and falsely, it's all been built on straw mans to try and undermine my credibility, and now he's just going to be going with it, because he thinks that an audience that just, isn't going to question him or pay attention to what he's saying, right, that they're going to be there with him, that now I'm at a point where it's okay to start to be condescending and belittling, because I'm just an idiot that doesn't understand, all right? Where, no, so many arguments, and especially the primary criticisms that he's trying to lob against me, are just built on absolute bullcrap, as I have objectively pointed out through this reaction. Because it is dumb. Am I the only one out saying that?
What? Chad, do you think people don't like dogs?
For me, Anthony, perfect example of how he argues. I say, I can't be the only one that dislikes Crypto, the super dog, and he takes that Shad doesn't like dogs. And that doesn't seem like it was a joke or everything. He's like, that seems to be his honest, interpretation. Doing a good job actually understanding, being honest and engaging with the actual arguments people are saying there. Justify Kryptonians look exactly like humans, but I can kind of, justify maybe conversion, evolution, justification for the story. I can...
Shad, don't think of it like that.
No.
Who cares?
I care. Checkmate. This isn't even an argument. You're just saying, I have authority, so stop doing the thing that I think you shouldn't do. Are you a retard? Come on. Seriously, dude.
They're just aliens who look humanoid.
Yeah, and a lot of sci-fi authors approach stuff like this, like, with more reason. Even Star Trek addressed this. One of the episodes of Deep Space Nine, where they actually addressed why so many of the aliens in the universe have a similar humanoid appearance. But Anthony's position is, just ignore it. Don't approach it like that. Because he's the ultimate authority on how stories should be done and how aliens should be depicted, apparently. That's how he's presenting himself, okay? You need to conform to his arbitrary standards of how things need to be done.
If you can handle Star Wars having Han Solo look like a person, you can handle Kryptonians.
And even reference Han Solo, that I shouldn't have an issue that Kryptonians look like humans because Han Solo looks like humans, even though Han Solo is a human. The premise of Star Wars is that many of these characters are humans in a galaxy far, far away, where a Kryptonian, they kind of have some significantly different biology. So much so that they can function as solar batteries and get near indomitable powers. The level of false equivalence and stupid logic that I'm having to deal with is just rough. And so there's going to be a scene of Crypto dragging a broken and defeated, half-dead Superman.
Yes, because he's a good boy. That's why.
No, I'm criticizing the imagery that evokes about Superman. And by the way, he said before that apart from the opening, okay, where we see Superman battered and defeated, there is no other point in the film where he's not shown as being triumphant. Yeah, that's what we want to see, right?
Yeah, we do want to see that.
I don't want to see it. Okay? And look, I think I did go too far to speak too broadly for everyone's thing, all right? I think there are a lot of people like me that don't want to see that. That's what I mean when I say that, okay?
You want to see a dog be a very good boy and help out a person.
No, I don't want to see Superman, like, I do say it's going to be about how they execute it. From the trailer, isn't what I wanted to see.
People love stories involving dogs.
So therefore, if it has a dog, it's just a good story. That seems to be what you're implying, which is nonsense.
I'll tell you, Call the Wild, people don't read that because they want...
Yeah, there are also stories with dogs in them that people hate. By his logic, he's saying because there are stories with dogs that people like, that then means this is good. That is a nonsense, retarded vein of thinking. As like me saying, because there are movies with dogs that people dislike, this is going to be bad. I never said that, nor would I, because it's a stupid way of thinking about it. What I'm saying is that it doesn't work specifically with what we're being shown at the moment. And I give objective, clear reasons why I don't think it works. Not just because there's a dog in it, but Anthony's so disingenuous. That's what he wants to take from my argument. Shad just has an issue with dogs, you friggin'... Just be honest, dude. That's the Superman. Right there. Yet, we get only a glimpse of it in this teaser.
So, wait, Chad, are you under the impression that the movie's just going to be Superman being awesome or just being broken?
Did I say that? I said, this is the type of stuff I want to see. I think it's safe to say that this is the type of stuff that most Superman fans want to see. That seems to be the sentiment, especially reaction to this. The thing that people love most in the trailer that I've talked to, it's this scene specifically. But Anthony isn't going to be addressing that. He's going off on another straw man.
Is that your perception, that it's just only glimpses of it?
No, that's not what I said, genius.
They have to build up to the Superman being incredible, because it's a...
No, they don't have to, actually. They don't have to do that. You can open with that
trailer
if you want, but I'm not saying they should necessarily. But again, painting universe, like you have to build up with it. No, you don't have to do it. Again, Anthony, a writer would know this, that there are multiple ways to write a story and make it work. All right. It's not usually something that I would, give as a criticism, but he's the one that brought us in that direction first. And so I'm just holding him to his own standards there. He considers himself a writer. Why is he saying nonsensical things that a competent writer should be aware of? Like, you have to build up to these things. Not necessarily.
Shad is conflating the intimacy of the character with weakness.
Bull crap! Absolute nonsense. The intimacy of the character, the weakness. This is just absolute dishonest crap. There's no point in the trailer where I conflate that and explain that in any way. He is just now making up crap to lie about me. This is nonsense.
By his definition.
Give the definition. Where's the example from the video? But he's not going to do that. Again, this is a straw.
Yeah, he's not saying it directly, but he's kind of brushing in broad strokes.
Oh, yeah. See, he even acknowledges that. I didn't say it. I didn't say it directly because I didn't say it. And if you're paying attention to what I was saying, I'm not implying it either. But now he wants to spin some bullcrap, warped it to twist his narrative. And it's so funny that even he is, has the slightest bit of self-awareness that he knows that I didn't say this, and he needs to at least kind of hedge his bet so he doesn't come off like a complete and total fraud. So it's like, oh no, this is how he's implying it.
Rushing in broad strokes, what we just saw, all of it is Superman being broken. All of it is Superman being weak.
No. Because I do say it's not all of it. I said most of it. And that this is what we want.
When in actuality, a portion of it is Superman being hurt. That we know he's going to struggle. That we know he's going to face adversity. But we also end the trailer with Superman triumphant. And that is what's so important.
There's something at the end of the trailer, towards the end, not at the very end, that I found, quite a miss as well. And so just like, it ends right. I disagree.
And as the music swells, we see bigger and bigger acts of triumph. It's been with a sense of strength and power and excitement for something incredible.
I don't think that's exactly what it is. I think there are a number of moments where that building up to the triumph is undermined by the other focus in the trailer about him being not only defeated, but also there's something at the end.
The problem is Shad's conflating, the most of the teaser was this. Yeah, it doesn't matter if most of the teaser's that.
I would need to rewatch it, actually, to get an objective how much it focuses on him being defeated versus how much success. Because when I say it's like we see him defeated on the snow, that's not most of the trailer, okay? But there are moments where he looks depressed and people are criticizing stuff like that. And if we look at just what the tone is versus the triumphant tone versus the negative tone in the trailer, it might be most that is more negative, but I need to rewatch, double check.
What note it ends on? Because that's the thing you're going to take away with you when you finish the trailer.
No. Just the way it ends doesn't redeem if other parts in the trailer misses the mark completely. Not at all. Some elements like this, right, in the film, good. But it also indicates that this might not necessarily be the primary focus. That they want to deconstruct a defeated Superman.
Shad, do you not understand how adversity works in storytelling?
Because that's clearly what I said. Really. I said already at the beginning that you can absolutely have Superman challenged and defeated. I'm saying what is the primary thing that I want out of the Superman film. But Strawman once again.
You wrote a novel. You should know this.
So there I was like, you should know this is all right. See how he wants to try and now undermine my credibility. So if you want to play our game, right back at you, mate. You've made some bafflingly stupid comments about storytelling. That is just complete nonsense. So don't come at me with how this is writing. Oh my gosh. When you clearly have a very flawed understanding about what can be achieved and done in a story, and that doesn't necessarily need to be always done the way that you are saying.
Adversity is meant to push against your hero.
Never said it's not. Once again, this isn't me. This isn't me. My argument that's talking. You just imagine a straw, like skin suit wearing, strawberry right there. Right, just a mask of my face with straw in it. That's who is talking with right now, not me.
It's foolish. By saying the movie is just going to be Superman crying for like an hour.
Because that's what I said. Bull. No, it wasn't. I never said it like that. Do you see the lying, scummy, dishonest bullcrap? He's like exaggerated so much. He's got to the point where he's trying to summarize my criticism and that I've said that the entire film is going to be this. This is nonsense.
By saying the movie is just going to be Superman crying for like an hour.
Never said that. Didn't even imply it by its own. Because I mentioned that you can have Superman defeated and everything, and that there might be good parts and other things that I've complimented. And I even said, look at this. They're clearly going to have these heroic moments in it, which I like. So clearly, even the broader context, I'm not even implying that the entire thing is going to be about Superman being broken and defeated, because we're looking at the heroic moment right now. But is such a lying, dishonest guy that he wants to misrepresent me completely because he can't address my actual arguments.
By saying the movie is just going to be Superman crying for like an hour,
which I never said or implied at all,
or broken for an hour, is foolish.
So is not addressing me at all. It's foolish. It's retarded. It's nonsense. It's like, man, if someone, said that, perhaps it might be, but that's not me. I didn't say that. These woke activists, dude.
It's foolish, dude. Like, it's ridiculous. You're just trying to...
See, that's what they try and do. They want to, depict their ideological opponents as foolish and ridiculous, and so they need to remake their entire arguments into something that is retarded, something that they never said, I never said, and attack that. It's a common bloody tactic, because they can't be honest.
Yeah, no. The whole movie's going to be 2.5 hours of Superman crying in the snow. No way, dude.
Yeah. I never said that, you friggin' retard. I'm sorry. I don't want to do that. I'll apologize, because I would like a way to try and approach people who are ideologically opposed to get along. But when I see someone as far gone as Anthony, which is just so blatantly dishonest and misrepresenting me, my knee-jerk reaction is to just call it as I see it. But that's just ruins any possible chance of reaching across the aisle. But I don't even know if this is possible with people like this, who is just so happily, dishonest and doesn't care about it. There is no dignity here with the way that is approaching this argument at all. But he doesn't care about being an honest, person that's addressing what I'm saying. Because that's isn't that just been the trend lately? Where they all want to deconstruct the classic hero. Seems to be a common thing. But how about not everywhere? You exemplify the hero. Focus in on what made us love this character, this concept. The aspirational, indomitable icon of justice. There to set an example. And
Shad, what the fuck are you talking about?
It's pretty damn clear. So now he just wants to try and, instead of even attempting to understand what I'm saying, he's just like, "Oh, you're an idiot. You don't even." What is very clear. You don't need to have much intelligence to understand what I'm saying. I'm saying make the character with those things that we love about that character. And some of the things that we love about character is this indomitable virtue, the paragon of justice. Do that. Give us that type of Superman. That's not hard to understand. That's what I'm saying. But he's like, what are you talking? It's so nonsense.
That's what they're doing. You dumb person.
No. They're showing quite the opposite in the trailer.
Okay. How do you watch a trailer that brings Crypto the Superdog into it and go, yeah, this is deconstruction. This is...
By seeing the other things that are deconstructing him. He's trying to say, because it has Crypto, the ties that... And it's a warning sign. It makes me concerned that they're going to be deconstructing Superman. They might not. We'll have to see. Okay? But it's trying to say that all those other concerns of the trailer, no merit at all because it has Crypto. Are you that dumb? Are you that dumb to think that because it has Crypto, the other things that show them potentially deconstructing Superman just don't exist? That seems to be what his argument is. holy crap.
The whole rest of the trailer is Superman being awesome.
Not saving people like that they're showing here. That's what I'm saying. All right. And it's not Superman being awesome in the whole rest of the trailer, by the way. There are moments where it's like there's a monster outside, from every assumption they should make, it's killing people, and Superman isn't going out to help. That was a miss for me. That's not Superman being awesome. So again, he's objectively false in how he is presenting the rest of the trailer. Par for the course for Anthony.
Why do you think that? Why would you think that Superman breaking through adversity is a bad thing?
That's not the context. We don't know what the context of him doing that. But Anthony just was like, that's the context. That's him breaking through adversity. It's like, no, not necessarily. Like, we'll wait and see in the film.
It's a great shot. And we have no context also as to why he's being caged up.
Exactly. That's my point. But he literally just said, that is him breaking through diversity. It's like, but then he acknowledged we don't have the context to validate that assumption that he has. But he already presented that assumption as being exactly what it's be. People, though then we get this scene, people hating Superman. Oh, but I thought, he said everything else in the trailer was showing him being awesome, and yet we have this scene of him not being awesome and being hated. Blatantly lying and then fully contradicted later in the video in this. But is he going to, of course, he's just going to ignore the fact that he's already lied about it. It's like the rest of the trailer was Superman being awesome.
The whole rest of the trailer is Superman being awesome.
And it is objectively false. A can at his head.
Yeah.
Not him being awesome, Anthony. I thought everything else was him being awesome.
But how'd you feel about Zack Snyder? He did the same thing with his Superman.
Is this whataboutism? I mean, it's validating my criticism right here. And it's like, oh, but Zack Snyder. It's like, I think he might actually be cluing on to the fact that this is confirming some of my concerns and now is just dodging the issue entirely. Zack Snyder, remember?
You didn't start playing it. You just didn't notice it was the...
No, this is where it becomes more prominent for me.
Song. It's been that way the whole time.
Don't distract me with that great... Look, I'm glad you're using it. But is this film worthy of it?
Yes.
No, that's not proven. We will wait and see. It's like he's willing to give this movie a complete pass, right? No, how about we judge it on its merits when it comes actually going to give proper respect to Superman and be worthy of this track. And so I'm not going to give them...
Is it showing respect to Superman by saying Crypto the Super Dog is cool and should be in this movie? I'd say certainly.
No. Do you see how, again, conflating an argument I didn't make at all? I was saying it looks like they might be deconstructing his character by showing him broken and defeated, and we don't want that, okay? And I've always framed this that we have to wait and see with the film coming out to see if they do. That's what I'm saying here. I say we'll have to wait and see if they'll be worthy of that.
I would say that this is a little more respectful of Superman than the Joss Whedon Justice League is for having the same theme in it.
We will see. This... Again, I think it's another scene that is missing the mark.
Why?
Where I explain.
See
just
a monster
listen.
in the background.
I hope you can prove to me you can do this, Anthony. Show let's see if Anthony is capable of hearing me explain why I don't like it, why this doesn't work, and see if he can understand it. Does he have the capacity to engage in an argument honestly and address my true reasons and not make a straw man? Let us hope. Let us hope that he can do it. We'll find out. Let's see. And from all I can assume is that it is actively killing people right now. Right now.
Why can you assume that? We know it's in the sky. We don't know what the context is.
Yeah, I say we don't know the context, but it's a safe assumption that this is a death ray monster killing people. Think of comic books. When you see a creature doing that, it's like safe assumption that it's not doing nice things to people. Right? That's not a unreasonable thing for me to assume. That's what I'm saying. But it's like, we don't know the context. You shouldn't assume that.
This is clearly like a moment of intimacy before Superman goes fight.
Really? Well, my issue, right? I think Anthony's just tripped up once again. But in this one, it's a good way. Because by saying that this is a moment, a intimate moment between Superman and Lois before he's about to go and fight. My issue is if people are dying right now, Superman wouldn't be waiting. Okay, he'd be going out straight away. He wouldn't let people actively dying in this moment just to have an intimate moment with Lois. I think that's gives him it makes him look bad. It's a bad look on him right there. That's my criticism. And I think it's funny because Anthony seems to acknowledge, though, that he needs to go out and fight this thing. He needs to stop it, which means it's doing bad things, which validates my criticism as to why this is not working. In this very moment, it's shooting a laser beam.
How do you know it's shooting a laser beam? It looks like the laser beam's being shot at it, like to hold it back, basically.
Oh, is like, come on, dude. No, it's clearly coming from it. But that is going to be, like, how do you know it's not coming from it? Maybe it's right, but I think it's a very fair and safe assumption to assume it's coming from it, that it's facing the direction, seemingly, because it seems like it has this, a focus. It's like a beholder almost, where, there's going to be an eye on one side. And the fact that it's slightly angled, a little bit in that direction, in the same angle of it, because it's got whatever tendrils coming off, which shows it's facing it a bit. That seems to indicate that it is angled in the direction of the beam, which indicates it's coming from it. That's why.
Also, we don't know the context of this scene, so you don't know that for sure.
I think I say that, but I say I need to assume. I'm perfectly allowed to assume the context if they don't give it to me, and the context here does not look good for Superman. It looks like people are dying and it's doing nothing.
What's most likely happening is there's something restraining it, like maybe Green Arrow's lantern.
Most likely, not from what I see it. We'll have to wait and see, won't we?
Maybe Mr. Terrific's power. Maybe there's like some...
See, but this just comes off as Cope is wanting to defend anything, any possible criticism, just to be, contrarian at this point. Because he can't... Well, he's showing that he's willing to agree with me on something, so there's that at least.
Lex Luthor device holding it back. Who knows what? But it's something that's restraining it for now, it looks like. Because...
No, my assumption that it's shooting something is... more likely, and even if it doesn't end up being the case when it's released, from the context and what we are shown, it's far more likely that this is shooting it.
If there's not a sense of urgency, there's probably a reason for that in the plot.
Maybe, and I will happily acknowledge that, but the trailer, I'm criticizing the trailer that they don't share that, and as a result, this looks like Superman doing nothing while people are dying, and I don't like it. And they could have shared any bit of context to try and explain it in the trailer. And I'm hoping that they'll have that context in the movie, absolutely. We're given no other context to,
Exactly.
nothing. I literally say the case that, it's not a death ray, it's just scanning people, okay?
Why do you assume it's doing it?
Because that's the most common type of thing. When you see like a laser beam / death ray in a comic book movie, safe, most likely assumption is that it's not nice. It's a perfectly valid and logical thing to assume.
How do you know it's not restraining it? That this whole big...
How do you know that it's not killing people, Anthony? The exact same, you don't know thing can be flipped up on you. Hold yourself to your own stupid standard, mate.
Circle is not like a containment field. Like, Shad's like, what's the context of this scene? Well, maybe watch the movie and find out what the context is.
Yeah, well, you're assuming things as well, and I do say we'll wait and find out. But the context that we're given in the trailer, it looks bad. That's what I'm saying.
Maybe the context is terrible. I don't know yet. Haven't seen the movie.
But then is trying to say my assumptions on it are completely unfair and invalid. Bullcrap. Okay? I'm allowed to judge the trailer based on what they present in the trailer. Dying right now!
You don't know that!
I'm allowed to assume it because they haven't clarified otherwise, mate.
You don't know what the context is, Shad!
Yeah, so therefore I'm allowed to infer context by what they're giving us. And it's even said, maybe it's terrible. Yeah, so I might be right.
Fucking talking about?
What are you friggin' talking about? You've acknowledged that it might be the case, okay? And this is what it does look like, from my perspective. And maybe I'm wrong, but I'm allowed to criticize because they didn't share anything else to clarify the movie, and it makes me concerned. More.
Okay, so Shad thinks that Lois and Clark being together is missing the mark of Superman.
No, you stupid idiots. That is not what I said at all. I said that the times, moments in the show where it shows that Superman either being broken and defeated or not doing what you'd think Superman would do in the given, moment, makes me concerned that the movie is going to be bad. I hope it's going to be good. And he conflates that with Shad doesn't want intimate moments between Lois and Superman, or the intimate moments, I don't like him, or that it makes it bad. Bullcrap. Again, he's incapable of being honest, this guy. It's so much impressive.
Because Lois and Clark being together has never been a major...
Oh, that's what I'm saying, you freaking moron. Come off it. Now it's clear. Shad saying, Lois and Clark being together is a bad thing. You disingenuous loser. Dude, really, I don't... This is why I don't like making these videos, because I don't like trying to make people the enemies. But honestly, dishonesty needs to be called out.
Angry at something, that's not even a problem.
That's not what I'm angry at. Gosh.
It's ridiculous.
No. What's ridiculous is the fact that you can't even understand an argument. It's kind of obvious that you've done this so much now, it does come off as intentional. That this wasn't an attempt to try and engage in an honest, nerdy discussion, between two nerds that like Superman, right? This was an attempt to try and clout chase and dunk to get virtue points. Okay, that's what they're trying to do, is misrepresenting me constantly, just because it thinks, I'm either an ideological opponent and he wants to make himself look smarter. But, dude, you're just showing how much of a liar you are. Robot assistant in his Fortress of Solitude. So what? His Fortress of Solitude is going to get attacked? These seems like moments that might happen much further into the Superman story. Now, remember, Anthony said that the rest of the trailer shows Superman being awesome and triumphant.
We also end the trailer with Superman triumphant. And that is what's so important. And as the music swells, we see bigger and bigger acts of triumph. The whole rest of the trailer is Superman being awesome.
Yet, we're towards the end of the trailer, and this is not a triumphant scene right here. Okay? Anthony was really clear about, it started with him being defeated, and it builds up to him being victorious. We're towards the end, and it's still jumping between broken and sad Superman and struggling Superman. So it's not doing what he was proposing it's doing, but he's completely unreliable in his depiction and analysis of media, and time again, this is just validated and confirmed. Right here, contradicting how he was describing how this trailer played out.
What probably happens is this scene happens before...
Is it him being awesome? I thought you said he was going to be awesome for the rest of the trailer. And now there's let's deconstruct Superman, have him defeated, have him think that he's going to lose everything. That's not the right way to introduce the beginning of a new arc for Superman.
Wait, Superman always has struggles and adversities.
Anthony, where did I say that Superman shouldn't have struggles and adversity? I'm saying that at the beginning of a new kind of arc of Superman. This is, again, the beginning of his story. I feel it is wrong to begin it with, having him defeated and broken, deconstructing him, and all that. I think, all right, no, you're going to introduce Superman, do it in the way, or he comes onto the scene. Now, this is subjective, but the point is, all right, it's clear what I'm saying, but at no point in this do I say that he can't struggle. I say at the beginning of my trailer reactions that you can have Superman struggle, but presenting it as the first thing in the trailer, for me, was a big miss. Him being battered and beaten in the snow might work in the context of the film when it happens, but leading with it in the trailer, for me, set the wrong tone for it completely. Anthony has taken that to mean that I don't think Superman should struggle at all, which is a retarded interpretation of what I'm saying.
All of these movies, do you think Superman should just have no troubles at all and not everything should be fine?
Never said that, genius.
Giving Superman adversity to overcome is what makes him interesting.
That's one aspect that can make him interesting, not the thing that makes him interesting. Superman's indomitable power also makes him interesting, Anthony. Now, his painting in broad brushes is this is the thing that makes him interesting. It's one thing. A writer would kind of know this, though, Anthony. I mean, you're the one who's brought to the table questioning people's writing talent and credibility by their media criticism. All right. So if that's the standard you want to play, you don't seem to understand important nuances in the writing craft.
It sounds like Shad wants a very boring first story for Superman. He just does everything perfectly and never has any trouble. And
it's not what I said at all. Another straw man.
Love this shot. It's so
Crypto
great.
Dragging a defeated, half-dead Superman through the snow. Yeah. Anthony, you said the rest of the film was just scenes of Superman being awesome, right? And towards the end of the trailer, shows him being broken and defeated, being dragged through the snow. That's not triumphant. You're saying the trailer ends with him being triumphant. Now, if you're being ultra specific that it's the very last kind of scene that they show, it's like, this is the ending scenes of the trailer. We're towards the end, all right? The trailer does not wrap itself up with only scenes of triumph. No, they show him being battered and broken and defeated. Confirming my point that I was saying. Contradicting your assessment of how it ended as well. It's not inspiring. It is not.
It's inspiring, dude.
No, it's not.
It's Crypto trotting through the snow with a happy...
With the Superman. Is like, that is not a dignified scene for Superman. Now, I think he's loving it because it's, Crypto helping Superman. It's good for Crypto. I think it's doesn't make Superman... Now, for the trailer, this is the whole context of my criticism, it might work for the movie if they're able to pull it off. I don't think focusing it so much, and they focused on it a lot. Look, they're constantly cutting back to this, as we're seeing right here, right? That did not set the right tone for me for the beginning of a new Superman franchise, and I disliked it. I hope the film is good, though. I hope they pull it off. I hope they make the scene make a sense, and maybe they will, and this could feel really great. That Crypto's saving him. Don't like what they're showing so far. No, is Clark Kent at this point? I don't know.
I would hope so.
Kind of looked like he was kissed.
Lois Lane should figure out who Superman is in every version. I think that's like the best part. Where Lois
eventually, but not right away. This is the first film, and it seems like the first film she knows who Superman is, and it's like part of the appeal is the progression of their relationship as Clark and Lois, and the dichotomy with Lois being so attracted to Superman and thinking Clark is this kind of loser, not realizing it's the same guy. That's one of the most enjoyable aspects of their relationship and how it progresses. If they're skipping that, I feel like I'm missing something fun. And Anthony, weren't you just saying that, you should be including so many of the important, tangential or other world parts of Superman?
Having the greater world of Superman's universe makes him interesting. It's a positive, not a negative.
They're skipping a pretty big thing here.
Pretends to shoot Clark Kent.
So Anthony is not addressing the regret I'm sharing here. I'm not saying that, it's not fun when Lois discovers who Superman is. That is a fun part of it. Because this whole thing that Anthony's talking about now is, Lois and discovery. No, I'm saying it's also fun when she doesn't know who he is, and that's part of the Superman kind of Lois and Clark relationship and how it progresses. And it seems like this new movie is skipping that, and I feel it's missing something important and fun, a part of their relationship. But Anthony's not addressing that, is he? No, he's going to jump completely to something else and then talk for a couple of minutes, something completely unrelated, okay, to what I'm actually addressing specifically. But part of the fun of Superman is the whole, secret identity and slowly earning the reveal to Lois. Look, I explained exactly what I just did already in the trailer. Let's see what Anthony says, okay?
No, the fun is Lois Lane figuring it out.
Oh, so hang on. Is Anthony, I'm just honestly saying, as a supposed fan of Superman, right, that part of the fun element of Superman and Lois's relationship is the times when she doesn't know who that Clark Kent is Superman. He's like, no, that's not fun at all. It's only fun when... I literally say part of the fun, and we're going to be missing this, is that part where she doesn't know who he is. And Anthony literally has said, no, that is not the fun part. The fun part, no caveat, no greater context, is when she learns who he is. It's like, that's an odd statement from someone who claims to be a Superman fan. So you're saying that's not fun at all now? You're not caveating. Are you saying, no, I'm wrong in my saying that is only the fun thing, because you don't give any other context. It's like, what I said was wrong. The fun thing, with no other caveat, no other mention, anything outside that, is when she learns who he is, which by natural inference means you're saying that's the only thing that's, the enjoyable part of the progression of their relationship. Nonsense. The reveal to Lois, okay?
No, the fun is Lois Lane figuring it out. That's the fun of it.
But that seems like contradicting that there is no fun in the times when she doesn't know who Clark Kent is and she misses the mark, and the fun things that Clark does that sometimes, makes her think or not think and throws her off the scent and all that stuff. None of that is the fun. None of that's fun. It seems like he prefers it all being cut, as it seems to be in this trailer. Man, it doesn't seem like you like a really significant part about the Lois and Clark relationship progression there, Anthony. And you were trying to say I'm not a true Superman fan. Well, he's trying to say that I don't know Superman. I don't think he's yet said that I'm not a real Superman fan. But I have always had the standard that if people don't like really important core parts of the property, and especially if they want to get them removed, that they're not a real fan. Okay? This almost seems like Anthony's gone in that direction. That he likes that they've skipped a pretty significant chunk of Lois and Clark's relationship here. And if he wants things to be cut, core, really important parts. He was saying the relationship part is really important to Superman. I agree with that. I was never saying get rid of it. I was saying the way he acts as Clark Kent and the presence of his dad is, more of a tangential element, not the core. But his relationship stuff and who Superman is, that is closer to the core, right? And here is Anthony perfectly celebrating the omission of a very significant part of that core. And he was just criticizing me, falsely, by the way, strawmanning me, that I was, saying that doesn't impact if a Superman film is going to be really enjoyable or not. And here he is, doing essentially the same thing that he was just criticizing me for. One of the few consistent things about woke activists like Anthony is their inconsistency, as I've learnt by experience. There's many aspects to the Superman story and arc that I, as a fan, would want to see. And I'm a little annoyed that it's potentially just skipping over it. And look...
Are you upset that Lois Lane will figure out who Clark Kent is?
Did I say that, you friggin' disingenuous moron? Did I say that? Listen to what I said, right? And so he's just ignored completely what I said and just making a complete straw man trying to say something completely... Listen again. Potentially just skipping over it. And so I'm sad that they're potentially going to skip over the part of the relationship where Lois doesn't know who Clark Kent is.
Are you upset that Lois Lane will figure out who Clark Kent is?
And then he's like, that means Shad clearly said he's going to be upset that Lois Lane figures it out. You friggin' idiot. It's comical at this point. It's amazing. Like, really, dude, are you incapable of understanding the words that are coming out of my mouth? I know I've insulted you, Anthony. I don't like doing that. I get triggered by your disingenuous bullcrap, okay? And... I have plenty of enough examples in this reaction to insult your intelligence a lot here. But I actually don't think you're an idiot. I think you are dishonest and you're driven by an ideological, lens, okay? You are wanting to be manipulative, to try and belittle me and undermine my credibility and attack me, because I disagree with you more politically, because there's been things we clearly have agreed on. But I do think you have the capacity to understand what I'm saying. And I think you're purposely trying to strawman, and because this is more about a hit piece rather than an honest criticism. That's what it really seems like. Has not won me over.
Well, that's great, Shad. It hasn't won you over. It's won me over.
So is that the reason why is it being so disingenuous and dishonest? He likes the trailer and he resents that I dislike it. And so he wants to just make up crap to try and dunk on me to win points with his audience. That seems to be the case. Because like I said, I do think he is capable of understanding my actual arguments, but is purposely not doing it. Because remember I was saying, is it because he lacks the intelligence and everything, or is it because he's being dishonest? I think it's the actual answer is just genuinely being dishonest, and because it's not about the truth for him, it's about winning a cultural fight for him. Because then we have comments like this.
Oh, using Fandom Pulse, using John De La Rue's website.
Yeah, in retrospect, I should have looked into this a bit more. And so I think there might be some actual valid criticism here. Let's see.
That's the thing with these guys. They always stop with the headline.
Oh, you haven't really dug deep or done more than a surface level false interpretation of what I've been saying. So, dude, stones from glass houses. But I agree. In this instance, I would like to dig into that a bit more. On the surface, it does not sound good at all. And the other reason why I use this, because I have seen more people criticize Superman for, it's a fascistic power fantasy. People on the left get so triggered by tiny little things, and they claim so many works of media completely fascist. And so this is not a disingenuous, or unreasonable thing to hear people say about media from the left. They accuse Freerin and anime of being fascist because it depicts demons as being irredeemably evil. All right. And so I should, and I think I will look into this more to see the proper context of what James Gunn is saying about that.
We felt like we were all doing something good, both in terms of quality and in terms of it's not a fascistic power fantasy.
Okay, wait. Don't skip over that, because Anthony's like, let's read the full quote. Nothing in what is shared so far undermines my concerns from that headline. And then we get to the one where I had the most concern about. And so James Gunn says, we felt really good about it, like from a moral place. Even from the beginning, we all felt like we were doing something good, both in terms of quality and in terms of actually something that's not a fascistic power fantasy. Holy crap. In context, that is him saying that previous Superman films were a fascistic power fantasy.
That about other hero movies in general, but it felt good to be doing something that was about a person's kind.
I'm not saying about other superhero films in general. I don't believe him. And I wonder if Anthony's going to try and use that. That makes the fascistic power. He's clearly referring to other superhero movies. Otherwise, there's literally no point for that comment to exist. So clearly he believes other films have fascistic power. And if you're saying, I'm not referring to the other superhero films, that makes it more sound like he's referring to the other Superman films, not the other superhero films like the ones he's made, but the other Superman films are a fascistic power fantasy. The greater context makes it worse. All right? It feels like James Gunn has that negative view of the other Superman films.
You would know that, Shad, if you read past the headline.
Seems like that's not a fascistic power fantasy. That's in context and it's accurate. So now he's just kind of reading more into it and putting his own spin on it. Again, the main problem I have is the fascistic power fantasy comment. That's the issue I have. Because to me, that's a statement of someone who doesn't like Superman if they're going to have that interpretation on previous Superman films. And it really sounded like that's his view of Superman from the full context of the quote.
Guillermo Pena, thank you for Super Chat. Shad argues that Superman shouldn't struggle, but...
Interesting. Let's just check something from the video. I'm not saying Superman can't be challenged in the film. I'm not that there are ways in which he could get injured like this, and I'm not saying you can't have moments in the film, but that would be in the film itself where it's justified, where we don't know what's led up to this, what's caused this to happen. Yeah, that's clearly what I'm saying. I'm saying Superman shouldn't struggle.
But if Supergirl didn't struggle, he would be the first calling her a Mary Sue.
No, bullcrap. And he's saying 100%. Where's the evidence? You're just making up bullcrap.
100%. I am.
And oddly, because as I've shown, I never said he shouldn't struggle. But now Anthony is doubling down. It's like, yes, yeah, Shad believes Superman shouldn't struggle. Lie. And that if, Supergirl didn't struggle, I will call characters either Mary Sue or Gary Stu based on evidence if they qualify for it. I'm not calling Superman a Mary Sue, interesting, anything like that. And I'm not asking him to be one either, as I've shown. This confirms every single concern that the trailer shows.
As I just explained, based on reading what he actually said.
Confirm those concerns again. Yeah. And you didn't explain the Game of Thrones comment, by the way, either. You said, oh, that wasn't there, so...
You couldn't be further from the truth.
No, the fascistic power fantasy thing. Yeah. And those are the main things that red flags for me is the Game of Thrones comment and the fascistic power fantasy comment, which was confirmed.
It's almost like the full quote ruins your argument.
No, it doesn't. We just did. Okay. And it confirmed it. But did you notice that he hasn't addressed the fascistic power fantasy? Because I think Anthony is aware that is validated in the context of, reading the whole thing. It actually makes it worse. And he hasn't addressed the fascistic power fantasy comment at all. He's just pretending that, the full thing has contradicted every concern Shad has. Shad is an idiot and is lying. I was like, that's not the case. So now Anthony's lying because he is avoiding the thing that gives merit to my concerns.
How can you watch a trailer where a kid raises a flag to Superman and begs for his help? that's playing with triumphant imagery while Superman flies around the world, and think that's deconstructionist.
For all the reasons I just explained. He's trying to think because it has a kid with a flag, that means showing him broken, defeated, and undignified, being dragged through the snow and and they reference it even towards the end of the trailer a lot there, Anthony, right? That's how. But Anthony thinks, because it has a kid with a flag in it, so all the other things don't exist, it seems like.
Especially because Shad has not explained how.
I've done this so many times. And this is just a lie, okay? This is just a lie. But he wants to pretend, make a straw man, that my argument doesn't make sense when it clearly does.
How something is deconstructionist.
And the other thing, I said multiple times in the trailer that because now Anthony's focusing on how is it deconstructed, because I've explained how Superman, I feel, is what's the core of his character, how he should be portrayed, right? And I said, I'm concerned. These are big red flags for me that the film is going to be deconstructionist. And at the moment, from what I've seen, especially, James Gunn's broader comments, that's what I think it's going to be. I hope I'm wrong. I don't want it to be that. I want it to be a great Superman film. We'll wait and find out. But at no point did I say 100%.
Because you don't really know what you're talking about.
Even though I have explained multiple times in this video as well. And so he's just lying. He's like, Shad doesn't know what he's talking about, ignoring my arguments, what he's saying, and pretending he's not listening. And by the way, the amount of times he addressed something I did not say at all is laughable. And then at the end is like, Shad just doesn't know what he's saying. You're a clown, man.
Dude, you're wrong. You're the guy who threw a temper tantrum about Princess Peach wearing pants.
No, I didn't. This is what Anthony considers throwing a tantrum. That was an awful voice of Peach. That was like, Peach was supposed to be, damsel in distress, high-pitched, girly, and stuff like that. That was total mainstream Hollywood girl boss voice.
Yeah. Funny how a few moments ago, Myra's getting beaten up by a monkey, and now Peach is looking real cool there.
Real tough. And
next to the Toad.
Is that one a halberd or
really
or
capable?
an axe,
She spins a weapon around. Now, pre-established character introduces a girl boss. Fine, new character. This isn't a new character. Peach has been an established character where she has been a delicate princess for a very long time.
You'd also say that's the core of her character.
That's the core of her
she's
character.
had girl boss moments, but especially in the completely Mario IP focused movie, she should be the damsel.
Yeah, absolutely.
And just the way she speaks, even if she's like a badass, she should still have that high pitched voice of
absolutely.
like Mario.
And you can have Peach be out of fight, but to do it in line with her character in a girly, fun way, like they do in Smash Bros. All right, you don't have her whip out pants and halberd in Smash Bros.
Yeah,
instead she's fighting in a fun, girly way.
Yeah,
this is pissing me off.
Yeah.
Well, there's still
They're
more.
taking away the femininity of Peach. Yeah,
Princess Peach.
Yeah,
given her pants.
Yeah.
Freaking come off it, man. And so I didn't throw a temper tantrum because the dress was there. I was sharing my distaste, my concern and worry that they might be turning Peach into a girl boss. But in my review of the Mario film, did I complain that she wasn't wearing a dress because the context was shared and it was understood? Okay. And so the fact that she's wearing, pants in the film made sense because I don't have an issue with her wearing those pants. My issue was that they might have been changing fundamental aspects of her character. But Anthony, he can't be honest, can he? He's going to try and strawman that again and just say, he has these ridiculous, stupid opinions, right? So you shouldn't listen to anything he says. When in context, criticism, perfectly valid.
And saying that Princess Peach never wore a costume like this ever in the game, Mario.
I never friggin' said that. I never said Princess Peach didn't wear that. But again, blatant lie here.
Okay.
You don't have her whip out, pants and halberd in Smash Bros.
Yeah.
Instead, she's fighting in a fun, girly way.
Yeah.
This is pissing me off.
Yeah.
So hang on. Does she whip out pants and halberd in Smash Bros? That was, my concern that they might be turning her into girl boss. Is that incorrect? Like what I said, does Princess Peach whip out pants and wear? And if she does, happy to admit I was wrong, doesn't invalidate the concern I was sharing. Because one of the things that made the Mario movie worse, and you can check out my full review, is that Princess Peach, she was a bit of a girl boss, okay? Didn't ruin the film, but I'm sick of that type of stuff.
Well, there's still
They're
more.
taking away the femininity of
Peach.
Yeah.
Princess Peach.
Yeah.
Given her pants.
Yeah.
Freaking come off it. Yeah. And that was my concern, that they might be removing one of the core things. She was a celebration of girliness. Now, the fact that she wears pants in the film didn't bother me, and the fact that she wears pants in the thing, it was what they could be potentially doing with the character. And some of those concerns were true, some of them not as much, as I share in the actual review itself. But Anthony doesn't want to share the correct context, share the truth of the matter. He wants a straw man that he can try and dunk on.
So forgive me if I don't trust the word of how accurate this material is from a non-comic book fan.
See, again, like, he's a non-comic book fan, suddenly, right? It's like, I never said I wasn't a fan of the comic books, but he can't help but be dishonest. He's a habitual liar at this point.
Like, it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous that you just are purposely wanting to not understand. Okay, you're purposely lying at this point.
He is just making crap up. Like,
no,
how does anyone take this seriously?
By listening and understanding what I'm saying, something that you seemingly are pathologically against doing.
Does anyone take this guy seriously right now?
Yeah, a good amount of people do.
When he was just talking about swords, we didn't know enough about weapons to actually call him out on his inaccuracies and lack of knowledge.
Give some examples, mate. Go on. If you really want to go into an area that I have a lot of background in, and yes, this is my area of expertise, I'll talk about weapons and stuff today. And trust me, I've debated people who are a lot more informed than you on where your attempt to try and call me out on inaccuracy about medieval weapons in history. Absolutely. But he wants to, again, straw man is like, he doesn't know what to talk about weapons. Examples, exact examples. And he can't bring any because I would call him out on them, obviously. And because when it comes to, like, weapons and history and stuff, there are some really strong objective kind of references that you can bring to the table, like medieval art and stuff. I've had arguments with people in the past, and they've lost dramatically, about, did medieval people shoot on the outside of the bow? Okay. There were posers online that were trying to say that medieval archery was a certain way, and I came with direct evidence from history and proved them wrong. All right. And it was interesting. That actually shifted a large perception of, a portion of our understanding of medieval history, those videos that I made. But he wants to try and undermine that, side of my credibility as well. And he's got nothing with that, apart from just saying, Shad's wrong.
The problem is, now we do know what he's talking about. He's talking about a field he knows much less about.
Thing is, though, I've brought receipts and responded to all your criticisms here. You've just been full of crap, Anthony. All right? And so much of the things that you're saying I'm wrong weren't even my arguments. It's all just straw man, disingenuous tactics. Constantly.
But he's talking like an authority. And because of that...
Really? Because a lot of it I'm sharing what I like and dislike. That's not speaking as authority, where you have said very blanket terms about what makes a fan, what is appropriate in storytelling, and what in writing, everything like that. You have constantly been trying to artificially inflate your own credibility throughout all of this by making broad statements of how things should be done with no evidence at all to back you up. This is all about blowing smoke up your own rear end. This is what this really comes off like.
It's so much easier to say, hey, Shad doesn't know what he's talking about with this. Maybe he didn't know about anything else either.
Bring the receipts. You brought nothing in this video. It's been pretty sad and pathetic, honestly. And that is like just pretending now at the end, like, oh, we've completely debunked Shad on everything. Most of it I didn't even say. Weren't even my positions on the matter. It's been amazing. And then Anthony wants to wrap up the video by cherry-picking comments that are going to fall in line or in part with the things like his like for the trailer specifically. And it's interesting that he's purposely avoiding all the comments that absolutely agree with me. Like, there's a decent amount there that's saying crypto they don't like and everything. So look, it's a pointless exercise if he's just going to be cherry-picking like this. And so there we go. Unfortunately, it did not seem like Anthony is capable of being honest and engaging in the criticisms I had at all. Now, it does seem like a lot of people like the Superman trailer, and I hope it's going to be good. I didn't like it for all the reasons that I was very clear about, but which Anthony chose to be incapable of understanding, where he purposely wanted to act like an authority on the subject and attack a straw man constantly to try and prop himself up. It's unfortunate, but this is par for the course for how many people on the woke left engage with not only media criticism, but how they criticize their ideological opponents. Now, I would like it if Anthony wasn't an opponent or he perceived me as an enemy. It'd be great if we could go back to the times where we could just disagree about pop culture stuff and not try and make hit pieces and other things by lying about people just for their own attention and to prop themselves up. But that really does seem to be the thing that Anthony has done in that video. If you've lasted this long into the video, I appreciate you very much. Thank you for watching, and join us in the Night's Watch live streams, weekly live streams, the Culture Crusades. We have a heck of a lot of fun. We can interact with you guys, and so I hope to see you there. And as always, stay on watch.